Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello and welcome to Longbangers in association with Leith Spirits. I am Colin and I have with me...
Monty.
And...
John.
Good, and I'm just remembering to set the timer now because I can't ever forget to do that, even though it says too many things going on here.
Should make it. Did you ever, when you were younger, go through like Texas or B&Q and that and just like go and set all the timers so that they would all go off like simultaneously?
I once did, you know the Tickle Me Elmo toy? You seen that for Sesame Street? Like you get a squeeze and it shakes. And what's the toy shop in London? Hanley's.
Yep.
They're a big, massive fucking display of them. So we had the whole display, fucking shaking, and the ones falling off it and everything. We got kicked out. I was a bit pissed that day. Anyway.
Very good. Very good, right? That's got to fucking irritate some
well,
people.
sorry for being annoying. But it just
I'm going to apologise to absolutely nobody.
Yeah. Anyway, I wasn't at the game today. I was at a game, but I wasn't at the game. I was watching Hibs win 7-1. So that was my afternoon, which sounds a wee bit better on paper anyway than your day, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you all about the game. Whether we spend that much on it, because I see the talking points we've got fucking millions, I think, is the sort of
it's roughly that was about the figure that we had was fucking millions.
So I thought this week we could maybe just try and get through loads of them because we've been kind of neglecting that a wee bit because we're talking too much. So, John, I think you had a couple of drinks in that the day in a fancy seats. So you want to tell us about your day in the game? What do you think? What did you give the team when you seen the team?
I think the team was exactly the same as it was last week.
No change.
No change. So I didn't look at it and think yay or boo. It was the same team. I think there was a couple of surprises on the bench. We saw Jake Doyle-Hayes come back. Freelance podcaster Dave Graham, I think, made reference to his brand new haircut. Not his own haircut, Jake Doyle-Hayes, but I never saw it because I don't think he made the pitch and I don't recall seeing him warming up. So that was my thoughts on the team.
Okay, you same? Would you? I guess seen you tweet saying looks a good team, and it's something the same as last week. You went, why?
Good point. I thought it looked decent. I'll get it up on the screens. We're talking through it. I predicted this team.
Was that you on the Longbangers account, Fan Hub?
So I'd kind of gone in and thought, I reckon that's pretty much how we would line up. And I thought it looks all right. And somebody did correctly point out that was the team that lost to Ross County and were pretty shit last week. And I was like, I've maybe jumped the gun with my assessment of it being decent. But then I did read a post, and I apologise because I can't remember who it was that said it, that said that apart from maybe a couple of positions where you might have questioned maybe Alf for Vente, the team pretty much picks itself. Now, based on who's available, and that is probably the best team we've got to put out just now. So I didn't have any problems with it when I saw it. I thought it looked decent enough, albeit it was the same as last week where we were humpty.
Yeah.
You know how there's been... Sorry, Colin, you go.
No. I was just going to say, I think my initial reaction was like, could we not get some of the laddies on? But then I don't think there are many available due to loans and stuff like that. Whittaker obviously went totally missing. Not even getting quoted on the bench now. But other than that, I'm not sure what young laddies are available because I think we did put a few of them out on loan. So guess we've got what we've got.
It was good to see. So I was say it's good to see Amos and Doyle-Hayes back in though as well. Like we've not seen Doyle-Hayes all season, and Amos we've not really seen very much of. So good to see them on the bench.
John, you're free to speak.
I was going to ask. So I was just adding things up there, and I think that's a match day squad of 20. And I think some of the chat during the week was around the size of the Hibs, the overall Hibs squad, and the number of people that were out on loan. And it just occurred to me that actually with Montgomery's comments during the week, where he was looking at having a squad of about 22 to 24, it's not that much bigger than what you see on screen at the moment. And that, like, it's not really an observation as such. It was just me thinking out loud. And
Yeah. The squad is too big around the way. Like, it does need trimmed, but
I've seen it.
You need to trim
Is
it
it
and have
around?
better quality. And
Is it around about 50? I'd heard or I'd read,
it
or
must
is
be a
that
big
maybe
one.
just a little bit of an
Can they be a
exaggeration?
kick that? Nah, maybe a wee bit, but you look at that, there's 20, right? There's a handful of injured fish, and I remember 2 or 3 others that aren't playing there. And then you've got, what, 17 on loan, I think I
I think it
read?
was 19, 19 as high as
19.
19
So
out on
then,
loan.
so you're into the 40s without even thinking about
Yeah.
it. And then there'll be other ones that you go, fuck, is he still, So, there's maybe not as many as 50, but I'd say it's probably pushing mid 40s, which does feel a bit too many, I mean, because even if you were doing the experienced player backup and a young player, you're at 33. So
Aye.
we've got an extra team on
It's
top of that.
far too big for a club our size. So it's
Yeah, spending far too much money on it. Or I say far too much money on it. Like they could be putting the quality into the 2 players we need for each position rather than just paying wages for guys to go play for Stirling Albion and Airdrie and whoever else we've all got them on loan to Edinburgh City probably. Anyway, right, not seen the game. I've seen the goals, so I need you to tell me about the game, the atmosphere. I heard the booing. What was it like? I'll start with you, John. You were in the prawn sandwich the day, so might have a different view to the where the diehards were sitting.
The people I was with will tell you that I said this. It was 23 minutes and 59 seconds, and I thought to myself, we've been doing all right up to this point. We've had a couple of chances. It's now around about now they would score. Like, I thought, like, it'll just be, and I think Matt, you maybe made a tweet that said, like, we're doing that game of one shot, one goal for the opposition today, or words to that effect. And that's what happened. Like, they scored, and it wasn't even like I watched the replay back the other now. And it was a ball kind of out to the edge of the box. I think there's 2 players nearby, Mariah Welsh and Marcondes. Mariah Welsh goes to close them down, but I think by that point it's too late. The boys already had too much time and space to pick out an easy shot. But we were playing pretty well up until they'd scored. Like, I think we had the majority of possession, had created most of, if not exclusively all of the chances at that point. But as we saw against Ross County last week, we conceded a goal and then we just pretty much collapsed. And that was pretty much the story for the rest of the game. I think we did have a couple of chances after that. I think there was a decent cross for Abita that Mailida kind of put, well, from my position, it looked narrowly wide. He's been through one-on-one with the keeper and he's hit it straight at the keeper. So there was a couple of chances, but it's one of those games where you want him to score, but don't necessarily expect him to score because of the overriding feeling of we're not in this. Like, we've lost the goal, we're not in it.
George, just on that point, I've seen a few folk tweet, group chats, etc. We've started well. We'll let one in now. Like, we're even, you know what I mean? That's like what the opposition will be saying. Just let them have it. I'm looking at the stats here. 58% possession we had in the game overall. Like, so like they've just let them have the ball. They'll fuck all with it.
It's brutal looking at the stats. I had a brief look at them when I was in the tram heading back up Leith Walk. I think it was like 16 shots each and 4 on target each. They've scored 4, we've scored 0. And like as much as
it's all quite even actually, the stats. When you look at it on black and white, you're looking at it going almost identical. Like, it's just
as much as
they're not the ones that matter,
as much as the defensive frailties and the individual errors have been a story of the season, I think that's also been a bit of the story of the season, is that other teams capitalise when we don't.
Yeah.
It was one of these games that we've seen countless times this season. Like, it's just a Hibs performance, like a typical Hibs performance under Montgomery. We're no improving. We're no learning our lessons for these mistakes. They still happen. We still have these performances. It's grim.
It's. I was talking to Greg today, and a couple of the. I was asking him like, what sort of changes would you make? Who would you like to see next season? Who would you like to leave? And he said it's a difficult one because there's players there who have been part of relatively successful squads. Like so, there's Boyle, Scotch Cup winner. Joe Newell finished third under Jack Ross, etc. Like there's a couple like Paul Hanlon, he was playing today. But then there's other players that have also been part of less than successful squads. And I think one of the difficulties that I have this season with like the criticism, so what I said there about not taking the opportunities in front of goal and conceding at your own end, is that that's a repeated pattern over a number of seasons. It's not just a Montgomery thing. And that's been my big concern about the whole thing, is it's a repeated pattern. There's been a decline for a number of years, going back to even like that, the days of Neil Lennon doing the airplane. Like subsequent to that, it's been decline with a momentary spike of Jack Ross and then decline because of those same things: mistakes, poor in defence and poor up in front. Poor in attack.
We were good for 20 odd minutes, like without being excellent. I think this was like I was listening to Montgomery's interviews afterwards, and you would have thought that we were brilliant for 20 odd minutes, and we were good, but we weren't brilliant. We weren't ever really kind of calling Roos in the Aberdeen goal into action very often. Like he had a pretty, a couple of routine saves. He had one good double save, but I think it was Emiliano fired in the first shot, and then I think Melida got the follow up to it. There was a couple of good saves there, but that was about it. The rest of the time we were like typical Hibs, like getting into decent positions but being pretty toothless with it.
Yeah.
And you knew that a goal was going to come, and you knew that once Aberdeen scored, that Arse would fall completely out of the team, and it did. Like the heads totally went. Aberdeen getting the second goal quick soon after didn't help matters, and again that was like a mistake for Abita. Like Abita's got himself in a good position to defend the ball out in the corner. He gets tackled, really, and then 2 seconds later it's a goal.
It's still quite easy. It's still quite easy after that, though. I mean, he did lose the ball in a poor position, but the guy's like striking it in. Nobody's chasing it down. Nobody's rushing towards him.
It's easy, yeah.
I think all 4 goals were really easy. That second goal that you're describing, Matty, annoyed me because as much as Abita loses the ball, the Aberdeen player drives into the box, and I think he plays it back once. The Aberdeen player shapes for the shot, stops, plays it back to a third player who finishes it.
Yeah,
we had a similar opportunity not too long before that, where Marcondes breaks and he plays out to Melida. And I was looking for Marcondes to do something different there, not something different. I wanted them to be more direct, because playing out to Melida, we saw something similar against Ross County last week, where Melida was able to get the shot away, but it was on his left foot. Keeper saved it. It was fairly routine save for him. We seemed to slow the play down.
Mm-hmm.
Aberdeen slowed the play down, but we're still able to get the shot away. We're still able to score the goal from it. Like, why can't we do that?
Because we didn't defend. And the difference was that Aberdeen, when we got into those positions, they were getting bodies on the line and getting blocks in. Like the amount of times there was a challenge came in where Aberdeen were first to the ball in and around their box was unreal. Whereas in our box, it's just like we were doing that thing where we would have maybe 2 players going in to challenge an Aberdeen player for the ball, and the Aberdeen player would be the one that came out with it.
Yeah.
It's either poor play, a lack of fight, or a lack of ability. It's like one of the 3 or a combination of the 3. But it was awful. Like, and you just knew like the game was going to be embarrassing. I think the thing that fucked me off the most about it was the fact that we were bad last week, and you've got the same starting lineup, and you've got a manager that's had the chance to work with them all week to motivate them. The players should be motivating themselves as well to say, "Come on, boys, we were crap last week. Let's put it right today." And then they go and do that. It's like, how have you managed to be worse? It's actually we've gone backwards, and that's been the story of the season as well. Like, not just not just results in performance, but our league placing has reflected it as well. Like week on week decline, almost. It's fucking brutal. So it is.
Yeah. Aye. I don't think you can argue with that. I didn't know that there was many people on the ground at the end. I did hear booing, but didn't appear to be. Was everybody flooding out after the third, maybe?
Before
Aye,
that.
there was a pretty big
Before that.
exodus in front of us.
Aye.
That was
No,
all
great.
the stay to the end to miss the traffic.
Aye. Just let it die down. Did you stay right to the end, aye?
I stayed to the
Well done, you.
the bitter end.
Well done, you.
And then got caught at the fucking barrier trying to get out as well in the piss and the rain. That was an unwelcome end to the
What
game
barrier?
today.
At the away end?
Aye. Because I had to got the train in, so I had to walk up to the train station. You come out and they've got the big kind of police cordons to take the Aberdeen fans away at
All
first.
right.
And what's the point in doing that? There's like a handful of Hibs fans left. Like what?
Oh.
I'm sure even Aberdeen wouldn't take liberties like that. It was all like old folk and kids that were left.
It's just the police following orders, eh?
Aye, bloody nonsense. So it was.
Right. I'm just bookmarking that tweet I mentioned to you before the game there because it popped up before the podcast. Anyway, right. Did you listen to Montgomery's interview, either of you, after it? I've not really heard it. So
I listened
is it worth
to-
talking about, or is it just the usual?
I did listen to it, but it was kind of interrupted because I was getting on and off trams and trains and whatnot.
Luke Shanley's one with him was really good on Sky. You actually got a sense of Luke by the end of it was going, this boy's talking shite. That's how it came across, is going, fucking really, and he just pressed him on a few points, which is good. But he pretty much said that the club's on an upward trajectory. Fucking, it's no, mate. Like,
I wonder what metric he's using.
fuck knows, but he needs to go and understand. Like, up's different in the northern hemisphere than it is in the southern. Clearly, it's really going the same direction, but it's different. He said that. He said, unless something's changed, nothing's changed since the statement. That was almost word for word what he said. Unless something's changed, nothing's changed. And he said the fans were great for 30 minutes, just the 30 minutes. So Easter Road's a difficult place to play. It's
Perhaps.
he got asked if the players are on holiday now. She's like looks at them, checking the players are on holiday, and he says, "Well, I can't really answer that. It's an individual thing." I was like, "Fuck it." So I didn't rate it, but it did sound very much like he's firmly of the opinion that he's got the full backing of the club still.
I got for the BBC one just at the end of Sports Scene. It was only a minute, like if it was that, and I got, and I could be being harsh here, but I thought he just said like the as in the players let the fans down, like almost like fucking me, like they, no we, no us, they, and I thought that's a wee bit like that's interesting, but aye, his interviews are never brilliant anyway.
No. They're no. Do you know what? I feel for the guy, right? I have to, like, see, at a human level, right?
Yeah.
It can be nice having to go out and do that when you're responsible for something that's failing as badly as this is, right? And you never want to see anybody having to kind of go through that. But you think, ultimately, you get paid, but you're getting paid a fair amount of money to do something about it, and you're making it worse. So you need to front up at some point and say, like, really, really be questioning, are you the right person to be doing this? Because I don't think it is. Like, I think the evidence says that he's no. That's my feeling. I feel for the guy. Like, it can be nice, and I would you'd never want to be. Like, this is hypocritical because I can't exactly what I'm saying is like we need to make a change, but you didn't really want to be sort of it's somebody's job and somebody's livelihood, and I didn't doubt for a second the guy's given 100%. Do you know, like he's probably he's probably sleeping and breathing and eating Hibs now. Like he'll be thinking about the different ways to try and fix it, putting all the effort in, and it's just not working. And they questioning the guy's character, nothing like that. I just think it's evidently not working.
No, I get what you're saying. Anyway, right, John, you got anything to add on that before we go into talking points?
No, I don't know. Actually, sorry, no. There was there was something I was going to ask, but it can't have been that important because it's popped in my head.
Must have been a lie. Right, We've got hundreds. There's even more came in since we started. So I'll start. Blue Rose Code says legitimate. I've not pre-read any of these, right? So I'm going to have to
just
try
fire
and read
through
and vet as I
Could
go.
I,
That's
could
the
I
way that we
ask,
do it.
just while I've remembered what it was I was going to ask?
No.
Who was the last Hibs manager that gave a good post-match interview?
Hey, Johnson.
Well, for different, Johnson, he was a slaver. He didn't. So
Who
you
was the
can,
last Hibs manager who made a sensible post-match interview?
Jack Ross. Jack Ross was good with the press. Didn't say anything exciting or that, but he said what he thought. Lennon was good value for it as well.
Yeah.
Stubbs was a bit hit and miss. Like, but
They've all had bits though. They always get criticised, right? There's always something because they'll say something. Jack Ross got criticised for no backing Porteous when he got sent off at Ibrox that time.
Yeah.
And I got folks backs up. So there's always something. There's always something. Yogi, because of the way he spoke, he would get slagged for that. You know what I mean? There's always something, but it's not the majority. Just like depending on snobbery there for Yogi, or you know what I mean, and Johnson just being fucking mental. But there's always something they'll get picked up on.
Aye.
There's
I
always
was going to say
this one's like overwhelmingly like he doesn't tell you anything in his interviews. And you know what? I didn't even want to criticise that because I said after Johnson, just what a manager that comes in, but I didn't care if I just went, it's been a difficult season. It's hard, every week. It's like you want something to like cling on to a wee bit, but you get nothing. And it's almost the total opposite extreme of Johnson with Monty.
So I think what we need then is we will, I'm sure, inevitably put a list together for a future Hibs manager. Skilled media operator needs to be pretty high up the list.
But I think it's an important aspect to the job. But I tell you the other thing that's missing for this is just like a hatchet job in Montgomery, and I really didn't mean it to be like
you did. You fucking what? You were loving it. You were waiting for the opportunity.
No, right? Because that's not really the sort of person that I am. But see, like after a game,
have you seen your Twitter?
I have. After a game like today, right, where we've been embarrassed again. Like the last time I remember, like you go back to St Mirren when they tanned us at home, and you listen to his interview, and he says, "That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And that's unacceptable." He rattled off about 4 things, and then he goes, "We accept that." Right. So you go, well, which is it? Right? You can't accept something that's unacceptable. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But he wasn't outwardly angry about it, and then for all the negatives that have happened, and I totally get why he's doing it. He tries to find the positive. Like today, he was talking about our shots on goal. We've had one-on-ones. He still did say like it was embarrassing, but I think sometimes you want a manager like after a game like today saying, "I'm not fucking having that." Kind of like that the Lenny Rage where he was going, "That's not acceptable. That's not happening again on my watch." Like, but two games left of the season, and you're not going to see that from my team again. In these last 2 games, I'm not accepting that they're switching off for their holidays already. I'm not accepting that they're going to run at 30% because they can't be arsed chasing back and we'll concede a 4th goal. I'm not going to accept this and that. I've been in there and I've fucking told them. No, don't say fucking right, but I've told them, right?
They should be able to though. And they should be able to do that.
Aye.
They should be able to swear.
Yeah. Aye, well, you hear what's his face? The boy that scored for Celtic yesterday. I forget his name. O'Reilly. He said he took a shit penalty. He did it, like, and they just went off sort of bit of language.
Fuck all wrong.
But to have that come out and say that's no my standard. Like I'm not accepting it, and I'm going to go fucking tonto at the press and make sure everybody kens it's all show and it's for the fans' benefit. Because I hope he's been in and had that conversation with the players, but the players have been going, "Fucking listen to him." Sorry, it was like, there's no great incentive to go and improve, as we saw for last week. This week,
why do you think it's not working here when it was working in Australia?
I don't know what the starting point was like in Australia for him, John, or the character or the standard of the league. Like there's all these sort of different facets for it, but also like there's no relegation in Australia. It's a total different pressure to play in. Like at Central Coast, the expectations there are completely different for playing at Hibs and Easter Road because the stakes are much higher here.
So why was he successful in the Mariners when he's, like, to the best of our knowledge, he's not changed? Like his interviews haven't changed.
Yeah.
The way that he describes the game is presumably not changed. Like he would have been beaten when he was in charge at the Mariners.
Because I don't think he's adapted. Like we see for how the team's set up for almost right, and there have been changes, right, but not wholesale changes in terms of the way that we've played. To go back to what we said earlier on in the episode, you could have picked today's performance, and it's the same mistakes, same performances we've seen loads of times this season. Occasionally it works, and we get like a game against St Johnstone where we win. We score early, we get a couple more goals, and it looks good. But the majority of the time, it's been a slog. Even like the game where we beat Aberdeen 2-0, they battered us in the second half. Like it's no change. So he's maybe done the exact same thing that he did in Australia, and he's maybe carried that over here, thinking, well, it worked there. But you need to recognise it's not working here, and you need to do something different. And I think he's done the different bit.
Yeah. Talking points. Right, we've got a good 20 minutes to try and get as many as we
Yeah,
can.
sorry,
So
waffling.
I think I started with Blue Rose Code.
You
And
did.
so he says, legitimately, I'm so far from a sack the manager guy, but he's just got to go and got to go now. Allow the new man to get a head start, enabling the root and branch reform that needs to be made to start now, unfettered by an obviously outgoing manager's presence. AKA Rab added to that, just saying the thing of can't sack another manager, but sticking with him is clearly shown it's a bad idea to keep him. Nothing against him personally, but his way with his depth is blatantly obvious. Get someone else in with the help of the BK group soon. Shia Robertson, can't really think of anything we've not already said as Hibs fans, not taking chances, defensively poor. Benny's plenty, hear me out. Euros fast approaching. Scotland in a group we might struggle badly in. Start the talks with Steve Clarke now. Give him however much he wants, and I guarantee you he gets the current squad with 3 or 4 additions, probably cheaper than a massive rebuild, and at the top three, and winning cups. What do you think of that?
I think you mispronounced Shea. I think it's maybe Shea.
Shea, aye, probably right. Sorry about that, Mr. Robertson.
I think it's I think Steve Clarke will be coming back to the Premier League after he finishes in Scotland. The Scottish Premier League. I think he'll go to a job in England. Aye. If he wants to carry on working at all.
What about the point though? If you get a good proven manager like that, they only need 3 or 4 additions.
Aye. The Aberdeen won 4-0 the day with a caretaker manager. Right, so I reckon what the boys' qualifications are. I reckon if he's got like the full license to be allowed to take the job permanently or anything like that. No transfer window again, right? So he's not made any sign-ins, and he's made the defence better. So Aberdeen were leaking goals. They've had however many clean sheets that I read a wee bit in the week. One of the defenders talking about this thing that they tightened up defensively. Another clean sheet today and 4 goals against us, and they've been worse than us all season. Like they've been below us in the league all season.
Aye, that's the first. I was just going to say, must be till today.
Until this week, right? A decent coach. That's all it took, right? And the guy's no spectacular. He's no, and I reckon how he'll go in his career. Like he might not have the longevity to be a really, really good coach. But that's all it took. So a proven one coming in would definitely.
And I said that last week. All we did when we wanted the new manager in, and we were on the Monty train, right?
Mm-hmm.
To some extent. I can't remember, John. I think you were. I think we all were.
I was thinking about this on the walk back today. I think at the time I'd said David Gray, and as a curveball, Rhys McCabe at Airdrie.
Aye.
But
and by the way, that's not me like going for a sort of revisionist. By the way, I never wanted him in the first place.
But when we spoke about
criteria,
when we weren't talking about the individual, take the individual. When we spoke about criteria for the new manager, we said it's September, December, January's fucking ages away. We need somebody in that can make the team better. That current team better than it is.
Do you remember the episode? Do you remember that episode? Because I want to go back and listen to it back, because
there was a week. It was the week of the Aberdeen game. It would be, or the week before, because David Gray was in charge. We won up at Aberdeen, but we spoke. I definitely remember speaking about or I might be misremembering, right? But the criteria being make
Did
the
you not
current
put a
squad
document
better.
together that had like our sort of criteria, each of our criteria that kind of laid it out?
Nah, I don't think
No,
so.
for that one we didn't.
No.
It was John. I'll find the episode offline and I'll
Be interesting
message
to
it.
go back actually because I was thinking we need, and I'm sure I said that we need someone, not Monty, whoever it may be, to make the current squad better because that squad qualified for Europe last year. It just needs better coached, better organised, consistency selection, and add a couple later.
And
Now we're going rip the whole fucking lot up, and that's where I think Venty's Plenty's coming on. He's saying maybe 3 or 4 additions, and you go, "Oh well, I'm actually you seen the team today and went, that's all right."
aye,
So on paper, that looks all right. The way they play and the sort of motivation they have in that seems to be badly lacking because on paper you go, that's not a bad sign.
I think we've been gaslit recently with the message coming out of the club about what was required. Like the evening news, okay, that's not like an official club thing. It said like that Montgomery had, I can't remember the exact words, but he'd inherited like a proper mess. I'm going, it wasn't a fucking proper mess when he came in. Like we'd just beat Aberdeen, we'd already beat Luzerne, and it's FCS Calades or something the name was. And we had the Villa game to negotiate as well, right? But it wasn't like a monumental mess. It was right at the start of the season, and we'd had a couple of good performances and 3 or 4 really like below standard performances in there as well. And then it was like today he was talking about needing to do this whole rebuild, like change the culture, do this whole rebuild at the club. And
But we're not talking about Mikey Stewart's from Sports Scene saying it as well, and I'm thinking, do we? And maybe we do, because I think I've probably got to that point in recent weeks, but then I'm going, I'm sure that's not what I was saying 6 months ago.
no, when he came in, we just needed him to make the players play better and get up the table. That was it. That was all we really needed. And now it's become so bad for so long that everybody, including us, has been like fucking
Everybody's
bin them
getting
all.
a P45.
Start again. Just bin everything. Fucking burn it to the ground and start again.
Aye. Fucking HDC torture.
Fucking a lot of it.
Right. Anyway, right. If anybody's listening that doesn't want to listen to a Hearts fan, avert your ears for the next 30 seconds. We've got one for our friend Scott, who was at the game today as a Hearts fan, because I think his son was a mascot, a Hibs fan mascot. And he sent us some thoughts. So, first 20 minutes, Hibs worked the ball out well to Boyle, to Boyle even, on a number of occasions, but the final ball was a letdown. All of a sudden, Hibs changed and started trying to play long diagonal switch balls. This is going to be tactical, yeah. Once again, the midfield were outnumbered. Monty seems to continually not address. Marcondes is a passenger luxury player out of possession, and in these types of fixtures, strikes a similar frustrating mercurial figure to what I've seen from Barry Mackay in certain matches. Josh Campbell would have been a better fit today, in his opinion. Chris Cadden really struggled up against Hoylett, failing to engage with him and letting him out at every opportunity. Regarding the future of the manager, I appreciate both sides of the argument, but only one question needs to be raised and answered by the club decision makers at the club. If there is even a 1% chance that they would bin Monty after 2 or 3 poor results at the start of next season, there is no point kicking the can down the road and making the decision now, which I kind of agree with the last point. What do you think of the earlier points, I think you covered that. You started 20 minutes, we started good, and then something changed. You said something changed.
Pretty much like what how the game went. We did for some reason start going long, looking for long diagonals, and just we're poor at it.
Wonder what caused that, eh? Anyway, Crawford Bridge. Up until today, I've been unashamedly. How do you say that word? Unashamedly. Team Monty. But that performance is as bad as anything I witnessed under Butcher. As soon as the first goal went in, the heads went down. No fight, no passion, no clue. It's got so bad, I'm reminiscing about Lee fucking Johnson. Alan Neil Duncan. Do Hibs practice taking corners at training? I love it when we get into the.
Our corner routines were good today. Like so apart from so the first one really noticed that we played it short and worked the ball with Mariah Welsh, but we played it to his weak foot for the shot, and so he had to try and get it back onto his good foot. So you either need a left or right, whatever foot he kicks with the other one, and to receive the ball there instead. But we tried a similar routine 3 or 4 times that actually got us into a good position. It was the final ball, as always, that let us down.
Yeah.
But the routines I thought were good.
So is that
I've thought that a
pick
couple of
for
times.
David Gray?
Aye.
I've thought a couple of times this season that the corner, that looks good, trying something different rather than just banging it in the middle. But then we didn't score for them either way, so there's fucking
Well, no bothering.
but Alan, anyway, he said that he honestly can't remember the last time we actually threatened to go from a corner, never mind score, which I think I agree with.
Yeah.
It's the same in our own box. Every cross, regardless of quality, looks like it will end up at the back of the net. Fucking hell, sad, isn't it? Whiskey Craig, result was shite. Said before, though, we need to change something bigger than the manager. I'm in the make changes behind the scenes, give him his pre-season, then we can judge him with no excuses. Culture should stem from Monty, though. Also, sad to say, John, top bloke. That casts a whole fucking doubt in that.
Aye, that's it. It was good up until that point. Then we realised John's just sent that tweet in himself.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Craig.
Part of his image, my concern today was the speed that we simply fell apart, from a team creating chances to 11 individuals who barely knew each other. That is on the manager. It's really difficult to see how he stays. Stevenson not getting on with poor decision making as well. Can I make a point on this one?
Yeah, of course you can.
11 individuals isn't solely down to the manager. That's down to the player, right? Because they've started as a team creating chances to 11 individuals. So that means they've went and done something else, right? But Stevenson not getting on. Does he really bring him on in a fucking embarrassment like that? I'm not bothered about the 600 thing. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Louis Stevenson's that bothered about it either. But to bring somebody on at 3-0 down when they're getting fucking pumped.
I said to somebody earlier on, if they'd made that Stevenson's 600th game, I would have gone down to the kiosk and bought a pie, and I reckon from a seat, or at least if I walked to the front of the stand, I'd have a decent chance of hitting Montgomery with it, and that probably would have been enough of a trigger for me to go and buy a pie to throw. So I'm glad he never gave Stevenson his 600 a day. That can wait till Wednesday.
Do you know, I think it's funny how when you're up high, you think that you can hit things that seem you're not that close to hitting for where you sit. I know where you sit.
No, I would need to run down the stairs first, but the pies are pretty weighty. I mean, I can't be getting in the short bangers territory.
Yeah.
You could get in, and people have. We've seen pies land on the pitch before.
Speaking of short bangers territory, this is a question direct from Whiskey Craig. True or false? Amber Heard.
True.
I think she did. Alan Woodhouse, he says, today was a total embarrassment. Manager clearly has to go, but serious questions have to be asked of everyone. We're a shambles and have been for ages. AKA Rab, I think he said one before, but this is another. He said, I'm just fed up. Oh, this is good. I'm just fed up to fuck now. I really like that on the face. Monty, NM, as he puts it, he's not Monty, so he's definitely fallen into love with it. NM keeps talking about what's wrong and has almost a whole season to fix it, yet has got progressively worse week after week. Definitely one on the new manager bandwagon now. Been going to Easter Road since 85, seen some shite. This is way up there. Neil Renton, friend of the podcast and co-host of the Headbangers podcast. What went wrong? He said, the ref blew his whistle for kickoff. I really can't remember a season, even when we've been relegated, in which we've had so many bad results and performances. Do you think that is that? And this isn't
that can't be true. That can't be right.
Hyperbole. Aye, is that just because you're in the moment? Like, see in a month's time when we're sitting here in the middle of June trying to think of stuff to talk about, right? Is that one where you go, if we were to read that out, you go, nah.
Right, do you mind after this minute game that I mentioned earlier on? I can't remember if we talked about it on here, right? But I said last started, I said the private board on Hibs just to say, could we go down, right? Because there was things that were reminiscent of the Butcher season, right?
Yeah.
We went like on this sort of steady decline. We just missed out top 6 the last game of the season, or the last game before split under Butcher, and we were never in the playoff position until the full-time whistle in the last game of the season. But it was that sort of just drop. History's repeating itself. It's the same performance, the same results. The only thing is Montgomery's managed to dig out the couple of wins that Butcher couldn't. So like when we go to St Johnstone, beating Ross County at home, when we had kind of those must-win games, we had a couple of them. He won them, and Butcher never. And that's really the only difference. But in terms of like bad results and embarrassment, like how many times have you had fans singing "Hibs are falling apart"?
Every week.
It's fucking. You can set your clock by. You go, all right, that's the second goal going in. They'll start singing and 5, 4, and then they go right, both right. You know, that's it coming, and you go, we're falling apart again because this team's a fucking shambles. So, aye, I think it's complete hyperbole. There is an element of it, but I think there's also something in it. This has been an awful season. We're ninth in the fucking league.
Yeah. Can't fall any further though on the positive.
Correct.
Hey. WTC 1981. Hibs and Aberdeen both had 4 shots on target. Hibs get beat 4-0. Yep. Aberdeen player attempts a cross, shanks it in the famous 5. Hibs fans giving it the big way. A few minutes later, Hibs sit back. Same Aberdeen player scores with a cracking effort. Then capitulation. Vince Robinson, keep him in its relegation next year. Clear out on many levels required and time to give the Lurgan Clopical. I think that's Neil Lennon.
Is it?
The
Lurgan, is that where he's from?
Lurgan Klopp.
I think he was called the Lurgan Looney when he was at Celtic. That was a headline or a description of that on the paper, I'm sure.
I'm not on the Lennon
Klopp's
train.
a good one.
I'm not on the Lennon train, but I don't disagree. You know, I think nobody's really. Well, other people maybe are here to hear what I've got to say. So my opinion is that if we start the season we're going to start the season negatively if he's in charge. People are going to be going. It's going to be a must-win game on the fucking.
Aye, the League Cup group stages. Yeah.
Aye. And it's going to follow, and he will win the first league game, and that'll be a must-win game. But then he wins that, then he wins the first derby. He's got to win that, and it's got to be a constant. He's got to be chasing his tail. I just think it's I think it's too far gone. I think that's where we are with it now. It's like it really, even if you get the fresh start, it gets the players in. It's going to be pressure on early doors that another manager wouldn't have because they would get that time.
How long do you think a new manager would get? How many games?
Depends how many he loses.
2 games. That's the way it's going now, isn't it? It's first 2 games. I'm only joking, right?
A new manager would get longer.
Aye, of course, yeah. We saw with Montgomery, like so. Montgomery got until because he didn't start off brilliant. Like he was unbeaten, but without winning for a few games.
No, it was interspersed with a lot of draws, but he was unbeaten at 8 or 9, and we were happy with it. Because the draws were exciting 2-2s and that. You know what I mean? So it started off well. It did.
What we found was people were explaining away the bad results for a long time with them. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of that going on until like sort of fairly recently, where folk have just sort of went, "Oh, no excuses anymore."
Why would what I'm trying to understand, and the reason I ask is like something that's been nipping at me is that Lee Johnson had 3 games at the start of this season that he lost, 3 league games, and he lost and he got sacked. Jack Ross's second season, I think it was 9 games without a win or 9 games, 9 defeats on the spin, and he got sacked. So why would a new manager get more time? Why would the new manager get more time than that? Why would the new manager get more time with a similar run of results as those 2?
I don't know if they would, because Maloney never. But I think the club
they'd get more time than Monty would.
Aye.
Which is my point, John. Monty's in charge next season. He's constantly chasing his tail. A new manager's not going to be under pressure if we don't win the first league game of the season.
Aye. Monty said in his interviews that he needed 4 players. So it's not like a massive overhaul, 4 players in. I think he said 3 or 4. And you think, you had that in January, and we got worse. I just keep this like a stuck record. I have no faith that a summer transfer window is going to improve us, because I think it'll improve us in the short term, and then the longer that they're the worse they'll get, because that's what we've seen with the squad this season twice.
I'm not doing it as I'm just meaning it as like how it's where we are just now. It's a massive tipping point on where the fan base is. It's got to have to like clean that group stage through in the League Cup, and then folk will go, Oh, we should fucking win that. Right, so then you're into the first league game of the season. Depends who it is. Then it's the first derby. Honestly, it's got to be can we, when a manager's starting to feel under pressure, all we ever get in here is talking points about the next one's a must win. And we go,
Yeah.
what does actually a must win mean? We've got to be there for like match day -1, like to use Jack Ross terminology. Or Lee Johnson terminology, was it?
I think the only thing that shifts the narrative or the mood is an exceptional summer transfer window. Do you know where we actually have, like, the players come in where there's almost unanimous, fucking hell, how have we signed him? For like, if those 4 players come in and they're all like that level where we're going to be fucking brilliant next season, and then that might shift the mood a wee bit. But even then, I think only until we get a bad result.
Yeah. That's all. That's where I think. Anyway, Craig Thompson asks, was he dreaming or did he see Matty, as he calls you, having a full-on photo shoot pre-match in the West Stand of the car park?
Yes.
West car park?
Yeah, West Stand car park. It was doing a favour. BBC asked if they could get somebody that had been on the radio to get the back of their head photographed for. I think it was like opening credits of Sports Scene or something. But they asked, like, there's a favour at short notice, and said, "Aye, all right, can do that." So I had to walk across the car park to the stand with a guy following behind me, taking photos of the back of my head, which is
So look forward to Sports Scene next year.
Aye, my good side.
Did a barber not do that for you recently as well? After enjoying his own haircut?
He did. He filmed those. He did like a profile and everything. We photographs and not that you would tell it now, but at the time when he did it, he was.
Are you going to be one of those pictures up on the wall in the barbers? Like all the different hairstyles?
I thought I might have ended up on their Facebook page, but I wasn't. So but he was maybe just taking it in for a wee Tommy Tank.
That was your wee timer going off, right? But I'm going to get an extra 5 minutes or so.
Okay, good.
Lucky if we've done 10 there.
Sorry, I've been talking pish.
No, you've not been. It was just more that, oh yes, I've been. So whenever we get these talking points again, I'm going to try and go through them and pick out names that you didn't see as often, right?
Yeah, good.
William Turner, I think we might have seen his a bit. But anyway, players are not bothered. Arses are already on the beach. Tools are down just enough time to get them gaffer punted. I would get rid of the majority, including the main starters, to sort that out and go at it fresh next year. New gaffer, kids in, sign loads. Needs bravery.
Yes.
Greavesy, a factory reset is needed. Dempster done it at the start and laid a solid foundation. Decks need cleared from top to bottom. More importantly, go and get a manager that knows the league and has had success building a team within the league. Montgomery's not made anybody better. Sacking is a must. Lewis E.C., we've seen that name before. Looks like the announcement of Hanlon's and Stevenson's departures isn't quite getting the reaction desired. Mark McKenzie, 5 centre mids on the bench. No young players around to make up the numbers. Monty out with the majority of the squad. Not one player I can be seeing again. Patrick McManus, maybe start looking more at the players. Number 10 had Newell all over the place. He didn't know where he was. Anything to say on any of these while I find somebody else that's not said nothing?
I pretty much agreed with them all so far. Yeah.
Dylan Starkey says, we've not hit rock bottom yet, but we are in fucking freefall for sure. Couldn't buy a win. Beastie to Belgium, who's been on here. He's a couple of tweets in. Time to look at who is appointing vanity project managers who are just a bad fit for Hibs. Can't motivate players, can't inject any discernible style of play or flair in a team. The list goes on. We're burning through cash with hiring and firing utter duds. Sick, fed up.
Put it in the Louvre.
Yeah, huge point. That spot on.
Yeah,
folk need to be accountable.
Yeah,
I think I've seen it referenced quite a few times. Like Montgomery is a project manager. I've seen it with a project appointment, but in project parlance, what would be the lessons learned for this appointment from the club, and what would be the lessons learned with regards to previous appointments?
I think his point in the Observer last week, which was, what is your strategy? What type of manager do we want? Like the last 4 managers have all been of a different type. So we're now going into, we need somebody that's proven in the league manager. We've done that, right? We've sacked one of them. We've sacked a couple of them. So, but what is our thing? We've done the inexperienced, ex-coach style, or done all the badges and been at the Johan Cruyff and that, right? We've done that one. We've done the A-League winner and different, he's never he's not managed in England or Scotland, and we've done Jack Ross, done the lower leagues. We've done Lennon, the up and atom fucking proven in
League
this
winner,
league guy, right? We've done them all. What types are left? But what is it we actually? What are we trying to achieve? And
what's the goal, and how are we going to get there?
Yeah, and that's where when I say I think he needs to go right, purely because I think the way to fan noise is this is coming through. Like I'm skimming through them there, and it's all the same, right? There's hardly anybody defending it anymore, but that's going to get held against them for a long time. But it's almost like that's not the only thing that needs to change, and that's what I've been saying all along, which I think is what Tom English was saying earlier on in his tweet that said, Hibs can't keep sacking managers, but they can't keep hiring bad ones either.
Yeah.
And that's the point. It's like, yeah, you're right. So what else do we need to change? It's not just the manager every time. But what do we want? What do we need? That's what we need to be looking at. We need, and that's the lessons learned here, right? We're just like fucking firing, just like wildly, and see what we can get.
Totally agree.
Looks like we don't. It looks like the club don't know what they're doing.
But even decisions like the development squad, like that lasted a season, we sacked it. Like even if the development squad had worked perfectly, right, and all the signs would be good, you're not getting a result in that after a year. Anyway, like you're not expecting those players to be that's next season's
That would be
team.
the point in it.
This is like a 2 or 3 year plan, but that's been. It's like we go and invest a load of money and it doesn't work immediately. Fuck it off. We're seeing it with even the infrastructure stuff that they were talking about spending the Black Knight money on, where they're going, well, we're not going to spend some of that now because we're going to focus on the first team. You go, well, why did you just say in the first? Like at the start, if those things can wait, just go get your first team better, right for the word go, because you're not needing them, right? They're either needed or they're not.
The development thing, when you look at that, and that's nothing to do with money. That's all the same ownership they were dealing with.
Yeah.
That decision to have that and then bin it, because as you say, if you're going to have somebody ready in a year, have them on the bench in that, kicking about, ready to go, right? Give them minutes here and there. Development squad's clearly more medium term than that. Like so, it's fucking nuts. It's like it's just chopping and changing. It's a direct. We'll get direct to football. It's almost reacting to noise, like not having a clear strategy and thought process on what they want to do next.
The director of football is another good example of it, where they come in, and the talk is that it's a year. It was May last year that McDermott took over. I think what he's done in that time, but he's away to just recruitment stuff now, I believe. What a fucking waste of time that was.
Yeah. I'll do a few more. We've still got 5-10 minutes. I think we can do some more. Bass 72. Zero leadership anywhere. None on the pitch. The manager's far too quiet on the sidelines. Their style of play is 2/3 of the pitch, headless chicken. Then the last third is a bigger shambles. No plans, no clue. Also, he just said on the radio, it's a tough place to play, which I'm laughing at because I read it here. This is so mental, but you already said it earlier on. So he has said that. That's confirmed. That's 2 sources. That's enough for the BBC. It's enough for me. OJ says enough is enough. He has to go. Parmaham too. Why is he being allowed to continue? Scott Craig, I was still backing him, but I think it's untenable now. Although from a good start to utter collapse and what looked like no effort is 100% on the players as well, and most if not all need binned. Cadden can't be a right back, decent player, but never a right back, and midfield is spineless.
The players do have to take a lot of responsibility for the day, because you cannot collapse like that.
Yeah.
You get punished like as we did today, and it's an embarrassment. You have to have some professional pride to go, right, fuck it, this isn't happening today, boys. Let's do something about it. And nobody would be with it. Like it took until Alf came on before he started having a go at the midfielders for no, like Alf had to go back and he picked up a booking because midfielders weren't coming in to make a tackle. And he was actually going like, what the fuck are you doing? Come and tackle this cunt. I'm not sure if those were the exact words, but that's what I imagine he said as he was getting booked for the referee. He's still shouting at the players as the referee's waving the card. That was with about fucking 5 minutes to go.
Yeah. Gary McDonald says no commitment today, and that shows the players on the pitch choice is to move on or move NM. I don't know what this next bit is. GMO, but no, I'm not going to read that out because I don't know what it means. MN13, that's just a sacking. Surely nobody's still defending him now. Get rid now. Get someone else in ASAP so we don't make the same mistake we did with Johnson or next season a write-off too. John?
I think I'm with you on the point, and I think someone else used the word untenable there. But the question I was going to ask was, why do we find, and this is the stuck record stuff, why do we find ourselves in this position again, where we find a manager in an untenable position?
Yeah.
Like I've
Keep
just,
losing games.
but why?
Mm.
Why are the managers that we appoint not good enough? Why are the players that the does it start with the manager or does it end with the manager in terms of where the root cause of all this is? Like, is it the person that appoints them? Is it the player? Sorry, is it the person that appoints the manager or the executive committee that appoints the manager? Is it that the manager that they appoint then signs shite players and you've got supposed to have director of football oversight there, so that there's continuity, so that they bring a manager in that coaches the players that's overseen by the club, so there's continuity there. And for how many years now? How many we've been doing this for nearly 5 years, and we are still having the same conversations about the same people, and I'm getting fucking fed up with it.
Yeah. Well, we've done that 5-year extra time.
Yeah, we did.
5-year review.
5-year in review.
And we're not any better. We're not any better. We had a blip that season in lockdown.
Aye.
Honestly, there's fucking hundreds of these, right? And apologies to everybody. They're all, I think I've kind of captured the feeling of them though. They're all about the same thing. And I do feel sorry for him a wee bit.
I think I also feel like a bit of sympathy for him. Like I feel like probably the last man in the building with the keys to the light bearing the name Nick Montgomery. Like I do wonder if the situation at the club had been different. Like if we hadn't had 18 players out on loan, if we hadn't had development teams that were spun up and then fucked off after a year because it didn't immediately bear fruit, if there wasn't the likes of, is it Daniel Mackay out on loan? If you didn't have Dylan Tate out on loan, I know that these guys haven't played in the first team, and I know that they've not necessarily
Melkerson,
impacted.
Henderson.
Melkerson, Henderson. Like, there's so many players, and you go like, what the fuck? Like, I want to see, what I'd love to see is in a place where Hibs are, like, you can have a look at every single department of the football club and go, right, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then you just slot a manager in and we start winning some games so that we have, so actually we didn't have over 100 talking points all saying largely the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's never really happened in 5 fucking years. Are you talking about?
Aye.
I know.
But that's what it needs to get to that point, John. I totally agree with you. We need to be able to sort of pinpoint every aspect of the club and say that's better.
And I think, and I'm almost reluctant to bring it up again, but like folk have talked about like Dempster when she came in and like the blank slate, and like we've mentioned it. And I think we all remember about how there was maybe only like, I think Lewis Stevenson said that they didn't have enough players for a 5-a-side team at one. Or sorry, one 5-a-side team. Never mind a 5-a-side game. But at least when we were relegated, like it was so bad at that point that we were able to start from scratch. And I don't know that we have the money or the people in charge that are able or have the will to clear the decks as has been suggested, or invest in money that is needed to get a new squad. Or sorry, not necessarily a new squad, but to get the players in that are required and the managerial appointment that's going to make the difference to everything that needs to be working, because it seems like the whole thing's it's a mess.
Mm.
And that's just me from like an ignorant sort of football supporter point of view. But then you start, like, you talk to folk and you learn stuff and you go and you look at stuff and you just go, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And how is it that other clubs didn't seem to have this consistent battle this consistent struggle to try and put a
Well,
fucking
Aberdeen-
decent football team on the park.
Aberdeen constantly sack managers, right?
Yeah.
But they've put a guy in charge that made them better in the short term, and that's what we've not managed.
But I think like my problem with that is like that seems like the Don Cowie point that Matty made and the Peter Leaving point. That seems like a very short term thing. That's it's like a new manager bounce. Like we're looking for bigger. Like we talk about our expected
Aberdeen also did the
expectations being
review
bigger.
that we're going through now. Aberdeen have also done this wider review, like a holistic, to use like wanky phrase, review. So they're in that process just now. That's how they've identified the manager that's coming in. That how they've gone and found him. They've worked out the way that they want to play, where the gaps are, and how they go about things, and then have a plan in place to fix it. I think that's the purpose of the review that we're doing now, which should, like, if they do it properly, mean that we come out with a plan that says do these things, and all those things that you're fucking up now will stop being fucked up.
They're talking in sports scene tonight as if Aberdeen, they're in a good place. They've got this 22-year-old here, 23-year-old there, 16-year-old coming off the bench scoring a goal. Just because they've won a couple of games in the bottom six. That's effectively what's happened. But before the bottom six, or before the split, they were talking like Aberdeen fans would be talking like this. But they've won 3 games after the split and everything's fucking rosy again. And we just can't, but we can't win 2 games in a row. Yep. We can't get to the point where we're starting going, actually, Neil's quite good and Boyle's still as good as he was and we've still got Ewan to come back. You know what I mean? And that was all that. If we could have won 5 games, after the split, 4 games, we would have been talking ourselves up going into next season. Because I didn't think actually what's there is that bad. It's not brilliant. I just think they're not coached very well, they're not motivated, they're doing a shit job. And that's on them as well as it is on him.
So why do we keep appointing managers that can't motivate players?
If folk appointing them, they need to have a look in the mirror for that, John. That's what I would say.
Aye. Anyway, we've got extra time coming later this week. All right, carry on.
I was going to say, just before you go into that, I just wanted to apologise to our Hubwave subscribers. We're having a wee issue with the episodes pulling through. They're still available. If you go into Hubwave, you get them there, and there is a link to YouTube where you'll get an ad-free version as well. We're hoping that's fixed by the time this goes out, but it might be early next week before it's properly sorted. It is out of our hands. Hubwave are dealing with it. Feel free to move over to Patreon as well. You get all the exact same benefits on Patreon as well, and there's a 7-day free trial if you want to check it out first. So just wanted to apologise that we're having those issues. We're doing everything that we can on this side to get it fixed for you.
Yeah, and we will have an extra time coming this week, whether you get that on Patreon or Hubwave. Well, probably Patreon, because go and get your Patreon trial and you'll get it there, because you can listen to the ones you've missed out on Hubwave from there for the 7 days. But we will be on out later in the week with extra time. I don't know what we're talking about yet. I don't think we've decided. But we will have an episode out. We'll probably have something covering the Motherwell game later in the week as well. And Stevenson probably crashing through 600, I would imagine. I'd imagine he'll captain the team on Wednesday night.
Our phone-in will be a bit of Motherwell game, won't it?
Oh, aye, of course. So, anyway, you can get them if you're not a subscriber. You can listen to Extra Time, and you can have exclusive access to phoning in on the phone-in if you were to subscribe to us on Patreon or on YouTube members. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, YouTube members.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for your talking points. I think they were all the same with different words, but thanks very much for them all. Anyway, appreciate the content. We will be back later in the week. Thanks again to Whiskey Row, and good night.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.